Only 2 out of the whole class of 367 had passed and gotten a full ride at the North American Alliance's Arcane Academy. All Conryu and the other boys would get was hours of standing in line and a sneer of disdain from the woman administering the test. The patter of shoes on hardwood reached him a moment before the whirlwind that was Maria Kane appeared behind her mother. She rushed to the door in a swirl of black skirts, her purse over one shoulder, and paused to kiss her mother on the cheek. She grabbed his hand and dragged him towards the elevator. "Nice seeing you, Mrs. Kane," Conryu called over his shoulder. Maria jabbed her finger into the call button. When the door didn't open at once, she stabbed it again and again. Finally, Conryu grabbed her free hand and held it. "Relax. We'll make it in plenty of time." Maria looked up at him with her liquid brown eyes. She was only 3 inches taller than her mother and had the same long black hair. "Relax? How can I relax? Today will make or break my whole life. If I don't pass the test and get into the academy—" I know. You've talked about nothing else for the past month." The elevator bell chimed and the doors slid open. Conryu let go of her hand, stepped inside, and punched the button for the parking garage. When the doors slid shut, he continued. "Even if you don't pass—" She made a choking sound and stared at him, aghast. Conryu grimaced. Maybe he wasn't helping. "What I'm trying to say is with your grades, you can get a full ride at any college you want to attend. You can do anything you put your mind to. I know you'll be disappointed, but it really won't be the end of the world." She groaned and hugged him. A muffled thanks barely reached his ears. She stepped back and stared at him. "I'm going to pass." He smiled and nodded. If sheer willpower affected the test, she'd have no problems. "Of course." The elevator chimed and the doors slid open, revealing the almost empty garage. Conryu led the way to his bike. When he saw her, he smiled. She had a sleek black tank and fenders, fully rebuilt flathead motor, and the coolest skull and chain license plate holder. Maria walked past him, pulling him along as she went. "Stop drooling. I swear every time you see that bike you act like it's the first time." Conryu let her drag him across the garage. Their helmets dangled from the handlebars, and he handed Maria hers before buckling his on. He settled into his seat, and she swung up behind him. The soft leather creaked under him as Conryu got comfortable. He touched the starter button, and the flathead roared to life, sending a vibration through his whole body. God, he loved that sound. Maria swatted him on the side of his helmet, her less than subtle signal that it was time to go. He twisted the throttle and roared up the ramp and into the bright sunlight. The shining steel and glass skyline of Sentinel City spread out before them. Beyond the city, little more than a shimmer, was the Atlantic Ocean. Conryu shot down a side street, then merged with the endless traffic running along the main thoroughfare that would take them to school. It was only 10 miles, but their late start would make it a near thing. Maria's grip tightened around his middle when he opened the throttle. He loved the highway. No speed limit. About halfway to school, they rode through a shadow spreading across the street. Conryu glanced up. The floating island made its patient way through the sky, as indifferent to them as the earth itself, which reminded him. "We're still on for the Shadow Carnival this weekend, right?" He had to shout to be sure she heard him over the roar of the bike. "Of course. It's our last one as juveniles. Next year we'll have to pay full price." Conryu snorted. For someone from such a rich family, Maria worried a lot about money. Full price at the carnival only cost $10. They reached the ugly tan stone school in 5 minutes, giving them a whole 3 to spare. Conryu pulled into the first open parking space he came to, put the kickstand down, and swung his leg off. Plenty of cars in the lot, but no people. The seniors must have started lining up already. Maria hopped down, handed him her helmet, and started fussing with her hair. Conryu shook his head and hung their helmets from the handlebars. Maria was the most beautiful girl in school, and the wind-blown hair only added to her looks. "Maria!" A slightly pudgy blonde girl in too tight jeans, her cleavage threatening to spill out of a low-cut blouse,